Hello and welcome to more Dark Souls 2 with me, Oni Black Mage. We just defeated the Belfry Gargoyle group, and now that we're done with that boss, we are continuing past there, which immediately thereafter... Oh, nice, that person has like Lucatiel's set. We are going over here, past this bonfire, down to a lower area where I noticed there is a large pack of dogs. And since I don't do too well with zombie dogs, I'm just going to snipe as well as I can over here. Well, that person must have died quickly. I guess that's all the more reason to take it easy. If I can just get a beat on them, it's kind of hard to snipe them from a distance. I'm lucky I've line of sight though, because when it's dark, it usually cuts down my line of sight. I can see there's a few treasures down there, so obviously something valuable. Let me see if I can bait them to come closer. There's basically 6 or 7 of them down there, and I do not have the blocking power to take all of them on at once, and it's pretty thin corridors, so I may not be able to dodge my way out. For long-range characters like mages, I think it'd be better just to play the patient safe side like we always do, and just kill them from afar when they come into our range. As you can see, you're going to be fortunate to lock on from a distance, though. Obviously, this wall sometimes gets in the way. I wish you could walk up it, but we really can't. It'd be such a cool feature to be able to fire from a ladder. Alright, but at least I can get a lock on from a ladder. And if I can just outstretch my arm past the wall, then I can fire. I'd like to say it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but these fish take a few hits and this barrel is pretty wide, so they have a lot of room to flop around, these fish. Okay, I think it should be okay to go down for now and pick off the rest of them. If there's only 2 or 3, I can take them. Alright, so take care of these guys. Ooh, Dark Spirit. Okay, so Red Phantoms are now called Dark Spirits. I see that now. Yeah, take that, Vorgol the Sinner. Yeah, alright. Oh, the dog took most of that hit. Okay, got him down some... Ouch, this dog. Ah, he got me. So he was a little quick, and that dog really helped mess me up, but I can take out Vorgol. He's a red NPC phantom, so he should be reappearing, though once I kill him, it should be permanent. Like those annoying gray phantoms. Alright, so... the fact that there's treasure down there, and there's a red dark spirit guarding it, that probably means there's something pretty good down there. So, let's see. Alright, down to more shooting fish in a barrel. Let's see. To help make this less boring, let me see if I can just ramble on about something else. Let's see. I can usually talk about just about anything topical, and if there's something that you guys want to discuss, please let me know in the comments below. I think I'm just about opinionated on a lot of things, so I'd like to hear you guys' opinion if you guys are patient enough to hear through mine, so I think it's only fair. Let's see. One of the things I note, and I'm going to try to keep a center around this game, is when I talk to other people about it, there's some people that snub this game because it doesn't have a very strong story. I mean, it's very simple. It's a simple story. It's effective. It doesn't exactly drive you. It doesn't develop your blank slate character. It's just, you are cursed. You know, to lift this curse, you need to go over there and kill everything in these dark lands full of souls. Collect enough souls, dark souls if you will, then you too will be able to lift your curse, you know? What a terrible night for a curse. And it's like, do you really need anything more complicated than that? Do you really have to criticize the simplicity and stability of a story like, hey, a princess is stolen, go out and save her by jumping? You know, come on. That to me is a pretty weak criticism. I understand that in many RPGs, story is just as important a factor as world as world building and battling, because you're going to be doing a lot. You're going to be doing a lot of story, story development, as well as world development, as well as combat. Those are pretty much the three main things you do in any given RPG, and you can judge the quality of an RPG basically more or less on those three standards, more so than most other genres. And so when an RPG is, say, lackluster in one area, it's significantly more noticeable than other game genres where the story is just whatever. Most people aren't there, they're just there for the action, they're just there for the characters, they're just there for whatever they're there for. Like, nobody really cares about the plot too much about most first-person shooters or action games or, you know, horror games. There's usually not too much plot driving. Those are not plot-driven game experiences. But most RPGs are usually plot-driven game experiences. But this, being an action RPG, kind of waives a little bit of that in place of more gameplay and more world exploration. And that's kind of an understood thing. That's what makes this, again, a little bit more of an old-school title. A little bit old-school title when technology was limited and your ability to tell a story effectively through past, you know, text subscreens and what's in the manual, to tell it effectively through gameplay was somewhat limited. And over here reminds me of that. Oh, can I lock on a Vorgel from here? I can. I'm going to snipe Vorgel from down here. Because apparently Vogel doesn't know how to climb ladders, so I'm going to take advantage of that. Oh, Vorgel, your biggest sin is not understanding ladders. It's a good thing he's not blocking. Come on. There you go. Alright, take that, Vorgel. That's right, you've been vanquished. Vorgel, his biggest weakness was ladders. I should probably leave a note like that. Okay, so, Sinner down. Yep, I did it. Using my ranged and height superiority is also part of the plan. Ah, the Bastille key! There we go, so that's very important now. Thanks, Vorgel. Okay, so now that I have a key, I think a lot of those locked cell doors that I passed over previously are something that I want to go back and get. I wonder if this Enchanted Falchion is something I can equip. Probably not, knowing my luck. But anyway, back to story. So, understandably, this is not a story-centric RPG, but is that necessarily worse off for it? Do you think this story would have been a lot, or do you think the game experience would have been a lot better if there was a well-developed story, if there was a more structured story? Because don't forget, few games out there allow you complete story freedom while at the same time allowing complete gameplay freedom. Because usually, the more free a character is to do things and develop the world and build their own adventure, the less structure you're allowed to tell a cohesive story, one with, you know, a competent amount of flow. That's why many open world games that are quote-unquote have story built in them usually have a lot of exposition scenes, or they have mission markers that you have to go to a set place, possibly at a set time. That makes it very linear as the only way to develop the story. And that makes it very jarring, because especially in stories where it's like, oh no, you know, we only have a limited amount of time to do this, you better hurry, but you know that there really is no pressing deadline, because you can take as long as you want, provided you don't go to the next mission marker. So is that really helping the story? That's kind of the fairest compromise we seem to have. This one seems to allow significantly more focus on building your own adventure, building your own exploration, old school dungeon crawling. And because of that open-ended freedom, because of the fact that your story is mostly personal and it's really just about that, the experience, the ambiance, the challenge, it's more like an obstacle course, really. That is more the core central focus than a story, so I do not believe that this game in any way, shape, or form is any way worse. It's not going to win any Pulitzer Prizes for Best Story of the Year, sure, but These days, a lot of people seem to overrate what counts as good quality writing. Not to act all smug or pompous, but I find it disappointing when the fact that just because something has more effort put into the writing, how should I phrase this? Everybody has subjective standards for what counts as good writing. For some people, good writing is just simply having a well thought out story with characters and some emotions and putting a little bit more effort than maybe their expected genre has. For example, using the Bioshock Infinite example before, from a Bioshock standpoint, I find it shorter and less developed and frankly less interesting than the previous Bioshock. The previous one was a significantly more thought-provoking social commentary than this one. This one was less subtle and more hold you by the hands, and we're going to tell you exactly what we think because this is exactly what we think, and there's not too much room for interpretation about what you think. They even tried to add some complexity at the end, which, granted, was to its benefit, about the whole multi-dimensional thing. By the way, spoilers. And one thing I'm going to say is, while Bioshock Infinite is significantly stronger story-wise for its genre, which is, first-person shooter, and it certainly is an on-rails first-person shooter, no doubt about it, that doesn't necessarily give it a free pass for having an excellent story overall. You still need to have cohesive, characters. You still need to have, in my opinion, a thought-provoking plot line. You can't just stuff constant tropes or tired plot lines or the atypical predictable twists. Because if a story's tired in those particular manners, if it's boring in any way, shape, or form because of it, then I don't consider that good. Just because you put more of it, just because it's more than what your peers have, I don't necessarily give you a free pass because that doesn't dismiss the actual quality of the actual story, if that makes sense. Like, being the smartest kid in the dumb row doesn't necessarily mean you're automatically valedictorian, if I can use that sort of example. There are many unappreciated, really good writing in games, and I could honestly make that entire episode or editorial on its own. Unappreciated, but well-told stories in games. For example, compare Bioshock Infinite, well-developed story, very good, put a lot of effort into it. They tried to make characters. I respect that. And they went for a creative twist at the end, which I'm not going to cite them too bad because they technically got a science of what they're trying to explain wrong. That's not how necessarily quantum physics or multiple dimensions technically work, per the theories that they try to apply. It's not technically how that works, but it's good enough for the layman. However, compare that story to, like, say, Spec Ops: The Line. If you haven't played Spec Ops: The Line, I highly encourage you, because that is a very, very well told and well conducted story done in the shooter genre. Fantastic, not just for shooters, and that's the key point. It's an excellent story overall. Very thought-provoking, very insightful, very good towards the end. And towards the entire progressive part of the story. What I like about it is that it doesn't wait till just the end to pull a twist and say, haha, look, what a twist, I'm clever. You didn't see it coming, therefore this is a good story. I don't like that, where you put all your effort towards the end. You put all your effort towards the end. That's not good. You need to be consistent with your quality. And Spec Ops was very consistent with its quality. And it is a very unappreciated game that I feel not a lot of people have bothered playing it, because gameplay-wise, it's a very generic shooter. Design-wise, it's very generic. However, story-wise, easily one of the, and arguably one of the best for a shooter. And arguably one of the best in gaming in general. Very, very good story. And I've been awakened to other well-done stories as well. So when you go for minimalist... Come on, guy, you're like literally standing above. I hate these collision physics sometimes. Alright. But when the focus of a game like that was more on the story versus the gameplay, that's what it needs to be graded on. Because when it was reviewed, a lot of people review it for the gameplay and not necessarily the story. That, to them, was more the focus. But if you just flip your perspective a little bit and put your focus on the story and, you know, the gameplay's a nice bonus, and it was functional in terms of being a shooter. Absolutely. It was fine. Then I think you'll find it's one of the better games, and certainly more well-deserved. This is, again, why I keep saying, you need to think for yourself. You know, wonderful viewer who's listening to me right now and watching this, you need to think for yourself. Absolutely. And form your own opinions. And I welcome your freedom of thought. You are an excellent person. I thank you for taking the time to listen to discussion. Call me long-winded, call me overly philosophical, but I like the art of asking these questions that produce thought, produce creative thinking. That's what's important, I feel. And let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the emphasis of story, when it is the relevant focus of the game, how well it's executed, versus when its overall importance in genres overall. I'm very fascinated to think, because not all games need a really good story to be good games, but games that focus on having a good story need to have a good story regardless of their genre, and they shouldn't get a free pass for being a good story just because they put more effort on the story for their particular genre than expected. You know? So, let's see, we are just about progressing through the lower parts of Center Rise. I just got the Bastille key, so I know there's a few locked doors around here. There's also a few locked doors I passed earlier, and what I'm going to do is, after I beat this upcoming boss, what I'm going to do is do a clean sweep of the Bastille as much as I can find, and try to find out more hidden doors, as well as locked doors, and you do that before continuing on, because I don't want to do what I did like in the Fallen Giant, where there is good gear that I should be getting right now as soon as I have the right tools, and it's available to me. Try to be a little bit more thorough. For an action RPG, this game gets a lot of things right that I really appreciate. You know, controls work really, really well. The balance of challenge, very fair. Very fair. The times that I've been dying so far have been completely my fault. Glitches, I've encountered one or two, but certainly nothing game-breaking. And nothing that made me completely stop the game or halt my progress. So, very, very minor scratches. And it has a lot of really good, well-designed choices that I appreciate from an aesthetic point of view. There's a large variety of enemy designs, you know? You're not getting the feeling that a lot of these are just carbon color clones, which a lot of action RPGs have. Let's see. There's a continual rise and progression of tactics that teach you and train you, as well as increase the challenge of the enemies. You know, the equipment that you can wear, there's a lot of it, and you can visually wear it and change it, which I like, and a lot of it looks very interesting, so you can go for a lot of stylistic designs. I like that. Alright, so as you can see, we have the Bastille key, opening that. I'm not going to go through the bottom part and unlocking the doors just yet, because I don't like those mummies. Let me go ahead and get this Bastille key out of the way. And let's move forward. Let's unlock these two doors up top and see what we have. Danger zone ahead, yep. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unlock these doors. Oh, it looks like oil slicks. Oh, smooth and silky stone, nice. So this clearly looks like what I'm supposed to light up. Maybe it's explosive or load something or whatever. But I'm going to pause here and pick it up next time, where we're going to tackle on this boss. So I'll catch you guys later. Thanks, and leave your thoughts below. And don't forget to follow me for more Dark Souls 2 commentary. Alright, have a great time, guys. Bye.